A radical plan to crack down on social media abuse is being considered by the federal government. For more, Nine's Oliver Haig joins us live in Adelaide. Ollie, how will it work?
Layla, good morning. Essentially, it will work the same as a passport. Australians forced to submit 100 points of identification, like their driver's licence or passport, when using social media accounts like Facebook and Twitter. Now, police would have access to those social media accounts, and it's all part of a crackdown on online abuse. Now, users could be liable for defamation suits or even criminal prosecution, and it's all part of a plan hoping to deter people from engaging in bad behaviour. Now, the recommendations were handed down by a federal parliamentary inquiry. They're reforms that are being considered by the Morrison government, with the chairman saying there is merit to remove the veil of being anonymous.
Digital certificate showing you've had a COVID jab to be available once vaccines are rolled out. Now, you'd be able to show the pandemic passport on your phone via the Medicare app or the MyGov website, or get a paper copy from Services Australia or the vaccine provider.
John O'Neill is now fully inoculated and is a step closer to being able to visit his 2 adult children overseas.
Yeah, it's going to allow us to get on the plane. I'd just like to go and see them.
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shule, aka the Esoteric Noetic, aka the Chocolate Nubian Soul Brother. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mom, drop some comments. Well, there you have it. The Scott Morrison government has come out and announced that there is cause, apparently, to remove the veil of anonymity. That now, before you can use social media, before you can go on Twitter, Facebook, probably YouTube, these big social media platforms, you will now have to provide your information. So the government can monitor you and decide whether or not you've done something that is abusive. Now, first of all, it's one thing if you had actually committed crimes, like let's say you had fraudulently accused someone of having done something, and therefore the government was saying, because the fact that you've done this, we're now going to take legal action. But what we're likely going to see, no doubt, make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, is the government using this to censor people from speaking. Oh, you've said something that isn't deemed appropriate, that goes against the community standards. So now we are going to lock you up. We're going to put pressure on you. We're going to come into your house and tell you that you seem like you're interested in going to a protest. Now we put this new legislation in place where you're not allowed to protest, even though it violates your constitutional rights. And because you posted this on social media that you're going to go protest, we're now going to perform, well, we're going to kidnap you. This is insane, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 21st century. This is the new world order. This is what we've come to expect. And look, I mean, the very fact that the government thinks it can even get this information from you, like the idea that they can somehow say, look, you can't use social media unless, of course, you give us your information, is insane. This is what it's come down to. It's not a case of someone, I mean, it's like you're assuming someone is guilty before you even charge them with a crime. I mean, this is what it's come down to. This is what it's come down to in terms of many of the laws around whether or not you have to be tested. We're going to assume that you have some kind of contagious disease. Therefore, we're going to prevent you from being able to enter this public space. We're going to come into your home rather than you actually having some kind of disease and then acting appropriately. But even then, I mean, this whole idea of because you're a threat, this is the justification that they always use. Well, because you might post something that is inappropriate, because you might infect someone, we're now going to take away your rights. This is how the Orwellian system is able to take away your sovereignty. Can't believe this. I mean, I can believe this. I use that expression not literally. I mean, I can believe this, but it's crazy. The fact that this is what we are looking at. Most likely over the next few weeks, few months, we're now going to be seeing legislation come into place where you can't log on to social media. I don't know how they're going to implement this. I mean, I presume Facebook is going to have some kind of special login system for people that are in parts of the country like Australia, you have to identify your ID, and then it has to get checked with the government records. But to make things worse, ladies and gentlemen, I popped onto my MyGov account. That's this system that we use essentially to do our tax and associate with the government. And there is a new a notice saying that, well, it's recommending that you link your Medicare. Medicare is basically a system. It's kind of tied to the government, but essentially this provides medical services, government medical services, certain benefits and so forth, and all your medical records. But essentially, they're asking you to link your medical information now with the MyGov system, which is like the governmental system, so they can see whether or not you have gotten the jab. And make no mistake about it, we're now going to start seeing essentially what's going on in Israel, seeing a situation where in order for you to gain access into certain establishments, and look, it's one thing if you're saying you can't enter a private business unless, of course, you've been boom shakalaka. I mean, I'm not going to play this game like a lot of other people play, where they won't be consistent about this and say, "Oh, you don't have the right to deny me access," when naturally, according to natural, of course you would. Of course you would. I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the fact that people are wanting to deny me access into stores or businesses because I haven't had the jab. But the issue is the fact that the government is coercing businesses to actually do this, which they don't have a right to do, which is in violation of the Human Rights Charter, the UNESCO Nuremberg Treaty, and so forth. But make no mistake about it, what we're going to start seeing is a point where they're going to start denying people access to public facilities now, like the parks. Obviously, they're doing this, already started doing this on train stations. You have to wear a mask, so forth. And the exceptions are in place if you have a medical exception. But essentially, the police officers are coercing you, trying to intimidate you, even if you have a medical exemption, even though you're not required to give out your reason as to why you're exempt. More often than not, they pressure you. "Oh, look, mate, yeah, I know you've said you're exempt, but I'm going to need a written notice, some kind of, do you have any exemption on you? Yeah, look, mate, I don't have to give you any information. Oh, I'm sorry, mate, I'm going to have to arrest you now." This is the kind of stuff we're seeing. You pressure people, so fundamentally, even though there are exceptions, they will just capitulate to whatever you're telling them to do because they don't want to have to go through the hassle. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to be seeing a situation where, mark my words, over the next few months, gaining access to grocery stores, gaining access to public facilities, to work, is going to be all the more difficult unless, of course, you've received the jab. Now, I came across a report that, and it really isn't surprising, that the government has actually fallen greatly short of their projected numbers in regards to how many people they wanted to receive the jab. Now, I'm not gonna go here and quote how much it is by, but I'll tell you what, it certainly is not surprising, and they are far below their goal of getting a 95% uptake, to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous. But I think we're going to reach a point where the government is going to take it upon themselves to increase far more Orwellian measures in order to get everyone boom shakalaka. I was just having a conversation just the other day about this thing. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, look, mate, I want to see my family. I want to travel, so obviously I'm gonna get this thing." Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would say, look, now granted, people can take this thing if they want to. I'm all about freedom. I'm not about forcing people to do anything, for that matter. But one of the things that you have to consider is that if you want to be living in a world where, in order to do anything, you are going to have to get the jab, you're going to have to go along with whatever the government tells you, then this is how you bring this about, by going along with what they're recommending. Now, unless, of course, enough people say, "I don't care what these businesses, Qantas, any of these airline companies are doing," if they're saying that I need to get this damn thing in order to travel, I ain't having it. And if enough people start doing this, these businesses will realize, oh, well, maybe this isn't a good idea. We're not going to be able to make any money unless, of course, we allow people to travel without this thing. It all comes down to green. Green is the real currency here. And unless, of course, we exercise our freedom, we essentially vote for what we want and what we don't want by not buying into legislation or going along with these businesses that want us to do these ridiculous tests and so forth. We are going to be finding ourselves very soon in a world that has absolutely no freedom whatsoever. And one could argue we're already there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, let us know what you think about the current times. Peace out, keep it real. Be sure to check out the links below. Check out the Telegram group if you want to stay in the know with what's going on in the world. And check out the Odyssey. Check it all out. It's all down. Links below. Peace out. Keep it real. Have an amazing Easter, everyone. Surya Namaskara. Namaste. Signing out. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community? There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.